I have always treated women with great respect. I have always explained their peculiarities by the vagaries of hormones. However, after Aurora refused me for the second time, I decided not to destroy my existence and not rush to her without looking back as soon as she called. For 12 years, Aurora and I have shared the camaraderie and adventures of our youth. She was one of those friends that not every guy is lucky enough to deal with. We had too many secrets to count. I never stopped admiring her and protecting her. By the time I turned 16, I realized that she was not just a friend, but also a surprisingly attractive girl with big eyes and an infectious smile. However, I recognized that in her heart, I only occupied the place reserved for friendship, while the place as a boyfriend was reserved for someone else. Shortly before Aurora turned 20, she married her classmate's brother. After her marriage, her visits to her husband's home became rare, although we still managed to communicate on the phone several times a week. As her friend, I was proud of her ability to combine her academic duties and the role of a wife without problems. Then, out of the blue, she asked, "What are you doing next Saturday? You're having a graduation, right? Or am I wrong?" "You got it right," I replied. She hesitated briefly before resuming in a hushed tone, "Join me for the prom. It seems everyone else will be coupled up, and I'm left without a companion." "What about your husband?" I inquired. "Ah, the husband. No longer. At least, not technically. For a few more days. He and I are strangers in the eyes of the law." "I'm all ears. Go ahead," I urged. Over the next hour, Aurora exhaustively detailed the mounting disputes that had escalated into a significant argument. Merely 3 days back, we were a united family. Now we're merely individuals packing up our lives in suitcases. "Oh, please, no tears," I interjected gently, not wanting her distress to deepen. "Hey, why the long face? It was great while it lasted, right? It used to be really good. But at the end of the day, we're just polar opposites. I'm looking for someone a bit different, someone who truly listens and understands. You know, someone who doesn't just hear their own voice most of the time." No doubt, Aurora felt blue for a spell, but fast forward a couple of months, and boy, she was bouncing back stronger than ever. She breathed new life into her days, threw herself into her job, enrolled in some classy fine art classes, and revamped her whole routine from the ground up. One evening, I made up my mind to share with her that my feelings transcended mere friendship. I was filled with trepidation, not merely at the prospect of being turned down, but more so at the thought that she might pull away to shield me from potential heartache. As we strolled together, I tried to steer the conversation in that direction. We've been in each other's lives for ages now, right? We know each other so well, almost like we're pieces of the same puzzle. I ventured, hoping to gauge her reaction. She gave a slight nod, and a spark of encouragement ignited within me. "We're not just friends, we're practically family, don't you think? Dylan, I can't say how much closer we might get, but you will always be my friend, now and forever. You're practically the sister I never had, you often say. You're the sole soul in this universe who gets me and has my back, and for that, I'm deeply appreciative. Could there be something more? Maybe some affection, or even a spark of attraction, perhaps. Dylan, what are you implying? We're more than pals, we're soulmates. And that transcends any mere attraction. Don't be ridiculous. What we have is far beyond all that." From that conversation, it was clear that my prospects as a boyfriend or husband were off the table. All right then, I resigned myself to that idea and life rolled on as usual. I had this vague hope she might eventually turn my way, but never imagined the scenario that unfolded. Come spring, Aurora had met someone, and soon enough, they were an item. As usual, I was clued into nearly every detail. By fall, I found myself shaking a leg at the wedding of Aurora's newfound love. He struck me as a decent guy. Following this, our meetings grew less frequent, yet we still made time for spontaneous coffee catch-ups midweek. She didn't seem to mind, nor did she show any signs of jealousy. It seems she too saw me as the sister she never had. And he, her new partner, often joined us at these brief meetups. During this period, my buddy lent me a hand more times than I can count. Whenever I hit a rough patch at work, she knew exactly the right folks to connect me with. Oh, and when I was short on cash, she didn't hesitate to loan me a hefty chunk. On top of all that, she was a fountain of wisdom, always ready with the best advice. Fast forward 2 years, and bam, we're hit with some major news. Aurora's calling it quits on her marriage. This time it was full-on drama, tears, yelling, and all sorts of hurt feelings. Turns out he just isn't the one. She pours her heart and soul into the relationship, but he seems pretty apathetic. Sure, he plays his part, brings home the bacon, fixes what's broken, takes her out to sea in the summertime. But it's all so mechanical, no real passion. I wasn't quite sure what Aurora was getting at, but I shrugged and did my best to give her some solace. After my own divorce, I took a breather and reflected again. You're not even 25 yet, and you've already gone through 2 divorces. Could there be something you're overlooking? Maybe it's high time you tuned into your heart instead of following reason and biases. Dylan, please don't get started on this. I get where you're coming from, but I've already said it. You're my lifelong buddy, my rock when life gets tough, just as I'm yours. I hear you. You've been my lifeline more times than I can count, and I'm always ready to support you when you say, just take a breath, think it through. You might actually need me a lot more than you realize. There's really nothing to ponder. Please don't take this the wrong way, but Dylan, you're my friend, capital F friend. I'm on the lookout for someone entirely different, but in a way, how should I put this? You get what I mean, right? I understood her point of view, even if I thought it lacked strength. After being turned down twice, I figured it was time to stop expecting anything in return. Just think about it. I know her preferences regarding food, fashion, and accessories. We can spend hours together watching movies that neither of us especially likes. Sure, we've experienced a lot together. It's hard to put into words or show. And I've stayed loyal through it all, no matter what. If she can't recognize that, then that's her loss. I deserve my slice of happiness in a family too. Aurora got a promotion and plunged headlong into her career, leaving herself not a second of free time. Our phone calls were getting rarer, and the gaps between them were getting bigger. Then, out of the blue, I was sent abroad for 6 months. Our contacts have decreased even more. Perhaps we were just growing up and immersed in our own problems. Around the same time, Aurora met another guy, and before you know it, tied the knot for the 3rd time. I missed the event, but sent my congratulations via the wonders of technology. Upon heading back to my hometown, I switched to a different department at work. That's when I crossed paths with a bunch of new faces, but one person in particular caught my eye, Emma. From the get-go, she stood out. I hung back for a few days to find the perfect moment to introduce myself, and after a week, I took the plunge and asked her out to dinner. We went out again soon after, and before we knew it, we were an item. It wasn't long before it hit us. This was serious. I aimed to pull off something dreamy for my girlfriend, so I cooked up a delightful surprise that included a stunning view, a lavish hotel, and a ring tucked into the dessert. Emma was thrilled with the idea and gave it her seal of approval. We get the point of sorting out the invites. However, it dawned on me, much to my chagrin, that I couldn't recall Aurora's new surname. Not wanting to slip up, I thought I'd better give her a buzz to double-check, since she still went by her maiden name on social media. When I called, though, I stumbled upon something unexpected. Aurora was in tears, barely able to get her words out. Turns out, her third marriage had crumbled, just like the first couple did. A year and a half in, and she was feeling she'd gone down the wrong path yet again. My folks are on my back, saying it's my fault, she confided. Dad's warned me for the third time not to move back home and suggested I rent somewhere else, 'cause he can't handle the neighbours gossiping about having a daughter who's considered a bit of a train wreck. Maybe you're setting the bar too high. No, I just wanted them all to be like you, a person with whom I can share every little thing and be sincerely heard. You got me back then, and you still keep me, right? I realized that I was looking for something that had always been right under my nose. I think you've hit the nail on the head, and we should figure this out. Do you know why I called you? I wanted to figure out how to put your name on our wedding invitations. There's no need to send them to me, Aurora retorted and hung up. I chose not to bother her just yet, so I sent out an invite, but she didn't reply or show up. In that moment, I grasped her feelings once more. I've embarked on a fresh chapter in life. I attempted to reach out to Aurora a few times, but she never answered her phone or returned my calls. Through mutual friends, I gathered that she was struggling in her personal life. The guys she met seemed hesitant to pursue any serious relationship with her. The truth is, her 3 divorces tend to frighten some suitors away. It's unfortunate she didn't heed my advice back then, but honestly, it's no longer on my radar.